Okay. Everything looks like it's working to me. Well, I had a just absolute ton of fun yesterday building up the Stahltruppen, the like Nazi Space Marines, the more Nazi Space Marines. Um, just absolute ton of fun. They're really, really, really cool models. So I figured we would do some more building today, and we would work on some of the tanks. So I've got one base here with me, and I've got another one printing. And I figured we would start putting the big tank guys together. But before we do that, let's take a look at all the stall troop in here. Alright, so I built two with the MG42s, one with the big like anti-tank rifle, and then three with the assault rifles. I think this guy's probably the derpiest pose of them all, but still not bad. And this guy built like he's reloading his rocket. I thought that was kind of cool. And with all six of them built, which is what you get in the starter set, there is still 4 arms, 3 heads, a rocket, because I clipped the rocket off the one guy's launcher, another rifle, and all of this. So like yeah, a lot of bits. It's kind of a shame they don't have like a couple more chests because you can make a couple more guys. So man, if somebody comes out with that chest as a 3D printed bit, hell yeah, that's gonna be good shit. Like you'd legitimately be able to build 4 more guys with just the 2 runners. So that's pretty dope. I'm not gonna lie. Um, so yeah, I just wanted to show this off. But today we're gonna work on building the tanks. So first up, I think we're into the spider tank because it looks like the less complicated of the two. Um, and I think he's probably going to be the harder one to pose. So let me get my tank instructions. They're somewhere. There they are. All right. So looks like we're building the tank body first. I'll try to keep the instructions off to the side so it doesn't like super nuke the camera white balance because I was having that happen for a while. But yeah, it should be pretty straightforward and easy. So this thing has 2 runners, and I think it has 4 different turret options. And the big difference between the turrets is the equipment that you put on the back of it. So we're going to potentially see if we think that's going to be magnetizable or not. So yeah, but we'll discover that as we go along. We can learn together. Let's see, he gets some more little pieces on the back. He gets piece number 8 and piece number 6. So there's 6 and there's 8. And then the rest look like they go in the front. And then he gets 2 front pieces. Oh wait, no, this is the same. It's just an alternate angle. Okay. All right. So usually these tanks are not bad to build at all. some people don't like the, what is it, Italiari kits, which is something that Warlord uses. They're like another brand, and Warlord kind of repackages their tanks. Um, I've never had trouble with them though, but I know some people are not a fan of those. But they've always worked great for me. And like, I don't know. I think those tanks are like 52 scale and the minis are like 56 or something. So like technically the tanks are a little bit smaller than they're supposed to be, but I mean it's basically nothing. No like difference really there. So it works pretty good. And I think they look nice. And usually go together pretty well. Some of their instructions can be a little rough, but yeah. These are entirely going to be Warlord made because they're for Conflict 47 and not historicals. So, shit. Okay. So it's going to be a little fiddly to build, but it shouldn't be too bad. There we go. Yeah, I would definitely recommend you build it this way though. Like I'm doing here, where you attach one side and then put these pieces on that side. That's going to be the way better way to build this than what the instructions are telling you to do. So the instructions are telling you to put the two sides together and then glue these onto the middle. That's never gonna end well. Yeah, doing it this way is you're gonna have a much easier life. So, all right, we're gonna have a little bit of gapping. So I'll see if I can fix that real quick. There we go. And then when we put the other side on, it should just pop right on really easy. Nice and easy it should be. Yeah, because instructions want you to put the two sides on first, but that's a non-starter. Don't do that. Do it like this. Yeah, nice and easy right there. Yep, no holes or anything. Looking good. Okay. Let's see what we got next. There's one big piece for the back and one piece for the top. And then we get into the, as I grab a bunch of trees apparently. Then we get into the interesting world of building the legs. So I think all these legs are actually like jointed onto this thing. So I think we'll be able to pose these all around. It should be pretty cool. Hello, how are you? And I don't think you're supposed to put this guy on a base according to the instructions, but I put all my vehicles on bases. I cannot stand when vehicles don't have bases, because the minis have bases, the vehicles should have them. And when the vehicles don't have bases, it technically makes them smaller, because your guys are all like 5 millimeters taller, and it looks weird to me. So I'm a big fan of vehicles having bases. And it also prevents any like chipping or anything from the mini as you're playing with it. So yeah, I absolutely hate it when minis don't have, or when tanks don't have bases. So I put them all on bases. And I actually usually 3D print my own bases for that. And I'll show you the base in a sec. Got a little bit of a nub there we gotta get rid of. Probably clipped off a little bit too much there, but it'll be okay. Yep. There we go. Easy breezy, beautiful. And then That just goes on the top. You definitely want to like glue this when it's all wet. Like you don't want to glue one side and then let it sit all the way, because you want to be able to wiggle it a little bit as it sets. Yeah. All right. So there's the body of our spider tank. So this is the base I'm going to use for it. This is a 60 by 60 printed off of Thingiverse. Search hollow bases 5mm wall, I think is what the file set is called. They're fantastic. I use these for like pretty much all my miniatures now. And they're GW adjacent enough that while they are slightly different, like the angles on the side are not quite as steep. So they are slightly different. They're close enough that you will never see it when you're playing with them, if you mix them with GW bases. So, all right, let's see. We want part number 7, and then we're starting to build some legs. And then I guess we pick the gun, and then we build our turret. And it looks like the turret's going to be movable, which is pretty cool. And then our guy goes into our turret. Nice. Yeah, and then it looks like we can put our guy in the turret if we want. So, all right. So first off, let's find that weird. Here it is. Kind of like vent piece. Go. This just gonna go in here. Oh, just like that. This is probably supposed to be the like weird energy section that's powering this thing, but it also just looks like a vent, so you don't have to paint it like that if you don't want to. Like that could very easily just be a cover over whatever this is. Okay. Whoop. Now let's see. We have a whole bunch of legs. So yeah. One of the things I really like about this tank is how like weedy it looks. Like it looks like it's going to like look kind of awkward and gross as it clicks around the ground, right? Like, you know, it looks kind of like ungamely, I think is the term. And I think that's cool. I think that fits a spider tank versus it being like super mega, like giant, like armored thing. Plus, I kind of think that it being kind of crap, I think kind of fits World War II, right? Like this is, I get the like very clear, like this feels like some kind of like experimental technology thing, and I think that feels kind of neat, right? But you'd see weird shit like it walking up walls and stuff, or like up and down trenches. Like this feels like the little kind of like almost armored car, like you would drive into a trench system to like root people out. So the pieces for the legs seem to just be next to each other. So I'm just clipping them out and making little piles. And we'll see if we can magnetize the shit. we'll see if we can magnetize the like tank commander for this, in case you don't want a tank commander all the time. We'll see if we can get a magnet in his ass. Because I usually don't put the tank commanders, but the couple I have are magnetized on my tanks as they are now. So okay. Now we put the legs together, and then we figure out how the legs attach. So yeah, so I had a lot of fun yesterday building the style trooping. The US guys are kind of meh. They're all right. I think I will like them better maybe when I start painting them. But I'm very happy that you don't have to put all the like armor and stuff on them. You can kind of make them look like a little more grounded sci-fi. I'm very happy about that. Because they looked way too sci-fi for me for like this kind of setting. So I think that's cool, but I don't know. We'll see when we get around to painting them. But I had a blast building the stall trooping yesterday. And I was like, man, I really want to build those two mechs. And it occurred to me that the mech build for these might be a little bit awkward. So because of that, it might... So because the mech build might be a little awkward, I thought it might be a good thing to stream. Maybe save somebody else some headache if we can. It's always a good thing to do when we can do it, you know? All right. Give me 1 second. Gonna get my little fan blowing. Hello. World War II. Weird World War II is what's shaking. Yesterday, we built some of these bros. Boom, 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 boom. And they're really fun. We built a couple of Americans too, but they're not nearly as cool as the Stormtrooper. I mean, they're pretty cool, but the Stormtrooper are way cooler. But yeah, so today we're building the tanks from the Conflict 47 starter set. Okay, let's see. The front legs have the big spikes. The back legs have the small spikes. Okay. So that's how all those go. And then those... Ooh. Okay, so you have a big range of motion there because this cup for the leg is only like 50%. So like you can basically go all over with that thing. What is a good way to do this then? Best way to do this is probably to put a couple, like 1 or 2 of the legs on, and use that as like our base for connection. Like use those as like our, I don't know, like, our like stable ground, if you will. That's probably the best way to do this. And then we can kind of pose it from there. Yeah, I did not expect these to have like half a cup of connection point. That's kind of rough, to be honest. But it does mean you could put these in some hella poses though. Like if you wanted this thing like climbing over rocks or like up a wall or something, you could 100% do it with the way it's built. Let's see. I was showing some minis from this line to my son this morning. Nice. Yeah, I like the Warlord World War II stuff. It's very cool. I don't have any of the other Conflict 47 minis. I just got the starter box because a lot of the other ones are, they're not plastic, and I've been really sold on like the multi-part plastic models this year. It's just they've been really hitting the spot. Um, so I don't know. I didn't pick up really anything else from the Conflict range because a lot of it's like resin and metal, or it's like a resin upgrade kit on top of a plastic kit. Hello. Um, and like I kind of want to just play with the plastic stuff. All right. And then if we put another one here, we should have like a semi-stable tripod then, I think. Then we can kind of start working on the rest of the legs from there. I think that's my idea at least for it. But there are some cool things from the line. They have some werewolves, and there's some werebears, and the British have automatons. Um, but also, I mean, art in the dust as always. But also, there's if you don't want to buy the resin ones, there's some really cool 3D print alternatives too. So I think all of these are from Kuroshineko. Their werewolves, I absolutely love their werewolves. I painted them like German shepherds because it was just too good. And then they have these kind of like Jin Raw style corpse, which are kind of neat. I think this is one of the first models they did, so they're a little more rougher than the others, but so you can get a lot of cool 3D printing stuff for it too, just with a little bit of look around. All right, so we got 3 legs on here. I want him to fit onto this 60 mil base, and he really doesn't want to, so we're gonna have to get a little creative there, I think. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to get a little creative because I want him to fit on this base. And really, he wants to be a lot more wide-legged than I thought he would. So, all right. So we're going to re-glue all of these, and then we're going to put some glue on the tips. We're going to get him to stand on the base. Man, freaking a king tiger fits on this base. Why do you not fit on this base? Little crab tank, little spider tank. Okay, well, let this be said. If you're going to put your spider tank on a base, 60 mil is not big enough. Just so you are aware. You're going to want to put him on like an 80. Yeah, you're going to want to put him on like an 80. Think we're still going to be able to get a neat pose with it, but let's see. If it doesn't work out, I'll pull him off of this and I'll 3D print him a bigger base later. All right, we're going to let him sit for a minute. Okay, let's let him sit for a sec. And we'll look at the turret. And then we'll come back and we'll play with the other legs. Go. Alright, let's take a look at the turret. Let's see. Twin autocannon, a machine insurer. So I think it's machine gun. Flame wafer. Construction of the option for the turret of the light anti-tank gun and the coaxial light autocannon. Okay. Maschinenschwerwer. I don't want to do that one. That one looks too futury. I kind of like this one or this one. It says that's a flamethrower. You know, that's kind of cool if this thing has a flamethrower, because it does not look like a anti-tank tank. So it being like anti-personnel, I think is kind of cool. So we'll build that one. So let's see, that's 3 and 4. And then... No, it's 4 and 5, sorry. Oh shit, you might actually be able to build more than one turret looking at the pieces on this. We might be able to build different turrets for this thing. That would be pretty dope. Let's see. So we got those two. And then it gets 6 and 10. Oh man, we might actually get turret options. Six and 10. And then we put the gun we want on it. Okay. Okay, we can do that. Nice and easy. Okay. And then this goes like that. Oh, we got a nub on there. There we go. Okay. Okay, okay. Making progress, making progress. Alright. We'll hit this with a little bit more glue here. I can glue there and there too. Okay. Bonk, bonk, bonk. And then, let's see, it gets a panel on the back too. Except this guy's a little bit crooked. The turret is. Why are you a little bit crooked, Mr. Turret? Are you supposed to go a certain way? No. You're just a little crooked. Why? Turret does not like staying in the ring. Not sure why. I don't know. Alright, that seems okay though. And where's the piece for the back? There it is. This is what looks like a little kind of viewport, I guess. That will go there. Okay. So they can look out the back while they're wafting flamen. Okay. So, and then that will just pop and sit right in there. Like that. So it can spin and stuff, which is pretty cool. But I'm not going to put it in there because it's got a bunch of glue on it right now. So then I guess we can put different guns in it. So we could give it the laser gun, or we could give it the flamethrower. Or if you want to be mega turbo WYSIWYG guy, you could magnetize these. Now, earlier in my gaming life, I would have magnetized these. However, that point in my life for gaming is probably over. Because I think I'm going to build this how I think looks cool, and with the weapons I think are cool, and not worry about any of their stats in relation to the game. However, there is a nice flat area there. And there is a small flat area there. So with a 1mm magnet, you could magnetize this. You would just drill a hole in the center, clip these pegs off, put the magnet on here, and it would go bloop, like that. So that would be magnetizable if you were super, like, hell-bent on magnetizing it. However, I think it looks cool as is. And we actually get the parts to build both turrets, which I'm going to be honest is really cool. So we're going to build the other turret because that's really neat that you get both parts. Oh, look at that. If you use this turret, you can't actually have the guy popping out the top. The roof is like closed. Interesting. That's a weird thing. Wonder why they chose to do that. Yeah, that's a really weird choice. Oh, wow. Okay. I take back everything I've said. There's actually 3 different turrets for this thing. Holy shit. Okay. Let's see. 22, 25, 23. Damn. Okay. 22, 25, and 23. Yeah, there's 3 different turrets for this thing. That's pretty crazy, I'm not gonna lie. I was not expecting this to have 3 different turrets. It does look like, however, you only get one that the guy can pop out of. So if you really want your guy popping out the top, you're going to have to use that turret. You're going to have to use this turret with the 2 kind of bigger machine guns on it. You're going to have to use that one, unfortunately. So just keep that in mind. It's not the end of the world, but like the flamethrower turret, your guy can't pop out the top on that one. Now you could probably, if you really were super hell-bent on it, you could probably cut this out and have it be open. Um, However, I am not that hell-bent on it, but it would be doable. The plastic is thin enough, it seems, so that would be doable, but I would probably recommend against it. So there we go. All right. Let's see. We get the top turret thingy. We get a panel. We get another panel. All right, let's put the panels on. Cool, you get the 3 different turrets. I think that's really neat. I was honestly not expecting 2 turrets, much less getting 3 different ones. So, yeah, that's pretty dope. And this last guy here, we'll glue him open, but you can also glue it shut. We'll glue him open in case we want to add the guy. I guess since we don't have like an alternate open or close piece for this, that we could swap in and out, there's really not much of a point of not having the guy pop open the top if the top is glued open like this. So I guess magnetizing him is kind of a moot point. And then we get the weird little guns here and there. Are kind of like little tabs to help them line up, which is nice. There we go. Alright, so that's the other little turret. It's pretty cool. Let's see what our guy does for that. So it looks like we've got 3 different head options. I think we'll do the peak cap, because I think that looks the most like a tank guy to me. But there is also one with like a full mask, and there's one with like an even fancier sci-fi mask. I think we'll do the peak cap, because that just looks like a tank guy to me. And then, because there's no reason to magnetize him, we'll just glue him in. That's a cool pose, too. He's kind of got his arm like that. That's a very much like, yes, I know, I'm in a spider tank kind of pose. What are you going to do about my spider tank, eh? Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That makes me want to use this turret, although I don't think this turret looks as cool. But the guy popping out of it looks really neat. I think this turret looks really cool. Anyway, let's see. Let's build the last one. And then we'll figure out what we're going to do with the legs after that. And then, yeah, go from there. So this one actually looks like a ball style turret. Like what you would get like on a plane. Like in like a B-12 bomber or some shit. So that's kind of neat. So I wonder if this is the like anti-aircraft turret. Because really, if you had these kind of tanks that could kind of like scuttle around and go up and down walls and stuff, like they would be like hellish anti-air support. There's a lot of the anti-air guns, like, you had to pull them with a truck or something like that. But like, if this thing could like go up and down walls, and man, that would suck if you were in a plane. You could like rapid deploy it in different spots then, and all your planes would have a bad time. Oh, okay, there we go. Boop boop boop. That goes like it goes on the other side, I think. So this is like a moving bracket is what this is. So in theory, you might be able to get away with not gluing these parts and actually have your turret be able to move up and down. But I think you would be very hard pressed to get that to work. Um, but I think it might be a potentiality with how this is built, to be honest. But it would be a hard hobby thing to do. Um, I just realized the sphere is incorrectly assembled. There we go. Much better, much better. Then we put the door on the sphere, which implies that the guy that's in here probably doesn't come out. He probably gets in this, and then that's where he stays until the battle's over. Yeah, so, and this. Yeah, so you could probably get away with not gluing these brackets. That looks like a thing that could happen. If you really, really, really wanted to be able to move this. I don't think it would personally be worth it because you're getting like just the tiniest bit of movement, but you could probably do it. It would make the assembly a little more annoying though, but would probably be doable. Yeah, I see the. I guess you would actually get a pretty good range of motion there. Yeah, you would actually get a pretty good range of motion. But yeah, so there's the anti-air turret too. Boop. Cheap followers on stream, boo, says uh some random probably stolen spam account. Just what everybody wanted. A random probably stolen spam account. Okay, let's see. They get a little machine gun on the nose, so let's put that on, and then we'll try to figure out these legs, and then we'll go from there. But yeah, see, I'm really happy I actually chose to stream this guy because the build's been a little weird. It has not been fiddly or hard in any way, but it's definitely been a little more complicated than I was expecting. You know what I mean? So with like how the legs work, how he's not really fitting on my base, like, definitely a little more complicated than I was expecting. Um, so I'm really happy I chose to stream it so other people can see it. I do think this is actually going to make a really cool pose in the end. Um, but yeah. All right, so we're actually going to put this one, I think, down as well. I was going to have it be up, but I want another point of contact on that side. And I think I'm going to raise that one. Yeah. So we'll have this front leg here be raised, and then we'll put the other back leg down as another point of contact. I think it's actually going to be a really cool pose at the end. Yeah. That actually wound up being really cool looking, I'm not going to lie. Even if unintentional. So I was going to have this leg be up too, but no, I think we'll make it be down. So he has another point of contact there. Yeah, that's what we'll do. There we go. I'll just hold that for a second. Then he'll at least have 4 points of contact. And what I might do is if I break out some green stuff next time, what I might do is I might put some around one or two of these claws just to give it a bigger point of contact. And then you're not going to see it once I texture paint the base anyway, so. Okay, so putting this guy there lifts this guy. Okay, so we'll move that guy. Whoa, move that guy down a little bit. Even further. Shit. Yeah, there we go. That is what we will do. Bonk, bonk, bonk. And then we will hit some glue on these, even though it's going to undo the glue that's on there. And it might make it pop off, but it'll also seal in any gaps from us moving it around. A little gap here, we're going to seal that too. Okay, and then, all right. Yeah, that's pretty dope. So let's see, we get, so something else, if you wanted to do for this, if you wanted to make it a little more stable on a base, you could clip the claws down a little, and then you have a bigger point of contact. In truth, that's probably what I should do for the one in the back. But it's okay. It's fine for now. But if you clip the claws down, you'll have a bigger point of contact. And then it'll just look like it's like stuck in the mud or whatever. Like it's walking. Okay, so let's see. We can put this tank on the back. Or he can get this panel. Or he can get like an energy coil. Or a ammo box. I think the ammo box is probably the coolest looking one. Now, these probably are magnetizable, but this is really the kind of thing you definitely should not magnetize. Like for real. Like this is just a like an appearance gubbin. Like it's kind of just a fun thing. I would definitely not magnetize this piece. Like it's just kind of it's a little bit of flavor piece, right? Like yeah. Yeah, I think we'll do the big gas tank might be cool though too. Hmm. Yeah, you know what? I think we might do the big gas tank instead. Hmm. Nah, we'll do the big box. We'll do the big ammo box. Because this ammo box could be ammo for a whole bunch of different stuff. This guy doesn't have any stowage like shovels or anything on him. So that might be something you might want to like 3D print and add as well. Not because like he absolutely needs it, right? Because he clearly doesn't. He looks great as it is. But if you want to like personalize yours somehow, that would be a good way to do it. Oh, this is on the wrong side. No wonder it didn't work. Okay, so that's how that goes. And then I guess that just... Oh, wow, I did it completely wrong. In every way possible, I attached that piece wrong. I had it looking the wrong way. I had it on the wrong side. I had it in the wrong direction. Literally every way possible. There we go. Boop. Ah. Alright. Yeah, I think that looks cool. And what I'll do is I'll get some like 3D printed stowage, like maybe some boxes and stuff, or like some bags or something, and I'll put them like on top of this as a shelf. And I think it'll look really cool. Maybe like a shovel or something. Yeah, like just put it up here on the top like that, and that would look really cool. Alright, so let's see. We've got these little guys here, which I think are supposed to be the exhausts. Bonk. Ah. This guy, for not having many steps, actually took way longer than I thought he would. That's not a bad thing. It means he's a cool model with lots of pieces. But yeah, definitely a little more fiddly than I thought he would. But man, that's pretty freaking cool looking. It's like a walking armored car more than like a tank. And honestly, that's really neat. Where there's the anti-air turret there. And then we've got our flamethrower turret. Ooh. Yeah, that's really cool. That's super awesome. Alright, we set them off to the side. Let's double check our instructions. Oh, it looks like we can give him an antenna as well. Do you want to give him an antenna? Tanks don't normally have antennas. Alright, I don't think we're going to give him an antenna. That feels weird. Yeah, it feels weird. So this is what you get left with. The other pieces for the back stuff. The antenna, unless I guess you want to use it. Maybe I'll use it. I don't know. It just feels like one of these things is going to get broken really easy. And then the 2 extra turrets that you don't choose. All right, so that is the German one. Let's move on to the American one. So who came with the Americans in the starter set? This looks like such a fun mini to paint, to model paint. Yeah, it was really fun building it. I had a really good time doing that, to be honest. And it'll be fun painting too, because all the like World War II camos are really fun, especially, um, yeah, tanks definitely do not normally have legs. Uh, but the World War II camos are really, really, really mega fun if you don't paint them correctly. Like if you tweak the colors a little, make them just a little bit off, it's very fun. So like there's this camo called Splinter Tarn, um, and it's like a German camo, and it's like these yellows and browns and greens. Um, but if instead of like using a yellow, like you use like a kind of like a yellowy off green, it looks really cool. Yeah, I actually think I might redo all my models that have Splinter Tarn, and instead of using the green color, I might actually switch it out for a turquoise. I think that might be pretty cool. All right, so let's look at our US guy. Um, this is the lineback jump walker. That's a dumbass name. But it looks really cool. It looks very BattleTech. So at first, I really didn't like this mech. It looked too BattleTech for me. Um, However, when I saw one in person and I realized this canopy is actually clear, um, yeah, I was like, oh, that's great. That's super, super great. Because then it felt like a more of a like a historical thing to me than because otherwise this looks very 90s to me. So, all right, let's see. We're gonna start building our boy here. So he's got 3 screws, and he has 2 arms and 3 different gun options for those arms. So, and if I understand it correctly, you can actually have duplicated gun arms for everything except for like the railgun. I think you only get one of the railgun. So, or Tesla gun or something. The like sci-fi looking gun. You only get one of those. But you can have bazookas on each side, I think, or rockets on each side, I think. Maybe? Maybe you can have machine guns on each side, or a rocket, or a Tesla. I don't know. We'll see as we build it. We'll see as we build it. But because this guy doesn't have half a dozen legs, he should be a much easier build. It also did not help that the spider tank did not fit on my base. But man, that pose that he wound up with looks super dope. And that's kind of the joy of multi-part plastic kits, right? Like, you kind of get these unintended kind of like quinky dinks like that. And that's how I wound up with the RoboCop pose, like stall trooping guy. And he's like, da-na-na-na-na. It's awesome. Like RoboCop intensifies on him. Okay, so let's see. We got that. We got that. We got 2 side pieces as well. Yeah, like this thing looks a little bit more like a 90s jet to me, which I think is where I'm getting the like, or like an Apache helicopter from like the 70s and 80s. Which is I think where I'm getting the like 90s kind of feel from it from. But with the canopy not blacked in like it is in the display model or in the book model, it looks a lot more retro. And you actually get a little guy to fit inside the canopy too. So it's kind of really surprised they blacked the canopy in on the display model because you actually get a little pilot to go in there. And they were just like, fuck it, we're not painting that. which I thought was a little weird. But honestly, a lot of the colors and stuff, they tried to do like this Wolfenstein, like black and red camo thing, but it doesn't look very historical. So I kind of wish they would have done like more historical camo. Um, I think a lot of the models probably would have looked better in the box. But you know, they are trying to be like, oh, it's a sci-fi game too, and it's like, yeah, you know, but all your troops and all, they're all like historical models usually. So yeah, I do got some other World War II stuff to build too. I got a box of U.S. Rangers. I've got a box of the new German veterans. I got some French partisans. I'm going to mix those French partisans with stuff from Dead Man's Hand so I can get some ladies. I can get some revolting ladies. Not gross, but like lady freedom fighters. There's a better way to say that. um, so let's see. We got, what is that? 6 and 6? There we go. I'm going to be singing the RoboCop song all day now. Drive my husband crazy. There we go. All right. And this. Oh, that like sits in there. Okay, I see. Okay, it like sits like that almost. Interesting. But this guy also goes in there. So to be completely honest, that feels like the piece the instructions should tell you to put in first, because then the other one butts up against it. Oh, I guess there's little nubs there. Maybe that handles that. Okay, yeah. Either way it works, I guess. And then we get some panels here for the top. Okay. All right. Let's see. Boop. Boop. Okay, cool. That that pilot looks a little small. Yeah, that pilot feels a little small. I'm not gonna lie. Let's look at him compared to this guy. I mean, yeah, he's a little bit smaller. That's a little weird, to be honest. Because like the German guy seems full sized. I don't know why this guy would be small like this. I mean, he's not that small. He's still within the range of like possibility, but you know, because he's like really like sunk in there. right? Like all this stuff is like over his shoulders, right? Um, but you know, compare that to this guy, right? Like the head is definitely smaller. He is definitely a slightly different scale. It's kind of a shame, to be honest. You know, what I would be tempted to do is actually take one of the heads from this guy and put it on there. I think that might actually not be a bad idea. Um, yeah, let's actually do that. Where's the other sprue of these? Shit. Yeah, let's see what that looks like. Um, let's see. Do we want the guy with the? I kind of want the guy with the goggles again. Yeah. So if we take this head here off, and we put a bigger scale head on there, does it look just completely silly, or does it make it look better? You know, it looks a little silly, but honestly, I think the end result there will be better than him having the small head. Yeah, I think the end result will be better. Because what you're really going to see when you put the canopy and stuff on is the head. So I think his head being a little bigger. Right? Like, I think you get a better result that way, to be honest. Yeah, I think you get a better result with the bigger head. So I would recommend doing that. Because you really can't even see the body in there, but you still see his face. So if he has a tiny head, it might feel weird. So, yeah. Something to think about. Giving you an option. But I think I'm gonna go with the big head. Yeah, I do. I do think that's better. I do. Um, now let's see. So we're gonna keep the canopy off, and I think we can actually attach this canopy. Um, I think we can attach it without gluing it. So let's see if that actually works. Because looking at the pieces, it looks like it's going to. So let's see. So if we put this one down, and we don't put any glue near that piece, we should be able to actually glue the canopy down without, or should be able to attach the canopy without gluing it. Yeah, that actually works. That's cool. So that'll be really useful for when we prime him. So we can put the glass in after we prime him. Yeah, that's super handy actually. All right. Looks like there's some lights now. So all the stuff they're making in plastic is all like slightly different than the stuff that's in resin. So like um, there's a resin spider tank, for example, but the resin spider tank has like 4 legs and is a slightly different design. And I think that's kind of neat that they're not just like full on replacing the kits. So like if you like the other design better, you can still get it kind of thing. Um, though honestly, I think the plastics are way cooler just because they're plastics. Yeah, you know, I'm going to use all these parts on the body, so I'm just going to clip them all out. And then after we get the body assembled, I'll have to run for like 10 seconds and go grab the base off the 3D printer. Let's see. Oop. So these are his like jump jet, energy jet things. And it's nice that the design of these matches the designs of the paratroopers. So the same kind of like energy circle thing. I do like that. I do like that the design, like aesthetic there is the same or similar, right? It's similar kind of idea. These ones are a little bit bigger, kind of a little more robust looking. Um, I don't know if these are intended to be like some kind of like energy intake, like on the front of the engines maybe, or if they're supposed to be lights. They look like lights to me, so I'll probably paint them like lights. I would actually be tempted to put maybe only one of these on, to be honest. I do like that kind of, I think the asymmetry there looks nice. They do look cool together too. We'll think about that. And this guy's got some like chicken walker legs, I think. To me, as a Battletech fan, he kind of really looks like a Bushmaster. He's like somebody reimagined the Bushmaster. And that's cool because that's a cool mech. I am not complaining about reimagined Bushmaster. Sorry, that sigh out of nowhere had nothing to do with this model. It just had to do with everything in my brain. Because brain bad. Brain big bad. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, it's cool. I like that armored chin piece. Because you could paint like a mouth on this and it would look really cool. Oh, I think I'm gonna have to do that. Like the old helicopters, how they used to have the mouths. Alright, let me go grab his base. I'll be back. Oh. No, go for it. It was just cold in here all morning, so I didn't open it. Alright, I'm back. I have returned. As I walked into the living room and then the garage to go get the base, my husband woke up. So, I was seeing what he was up to. Okay. Well, it looks like his donger area is next up. And he's got like tons of ball joints here. So we have a ball joint for the waist, and then we have a ball joint for both hips. So man, you could probably get him into some pretty dope poses. We'll see what we can do when we get to the feet. All right. So yeah, so I'm probably gonna put these together, but not attach them to the body yet until I know what I want to do with the pose. Or what he can even support with his pose, you know what I mean? So he might not be able to do really that much posing, but it looks like he's going to be able to do a ton, to be honest. Let's see this. Oh, interesting. And then it adds little ball joints over here. That's kind of cool. Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, and then what is this next piece here? So it shows kind of like a leg and then like an ankle. And then it looks like that connects to this upper leg piece here. His feet are hella complicated. Legitimately, I think there's twice as many pieces in those feet as there is the leg. Okay, so let's do this. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna build that top part of the leg first. Because I think that's gonna give us some idea of how the leg joints are gonna work. So then we've got these panels here. But yeah, bro has super complicated feet. I guess maybe the intent of the design for this feet being so complicated is like they're supposed to absorb shock, maybe? Because this is like I think this is like a jumper kind of machine. Like I think it like jumps and launches itself and then uses its thrusters to like propel itself, kind of. I think that's the intent of the design. So maybe the feet are supposed to be like big shock absorbers for when it lands, kind of thing. They should have called it like, I don't know, the wild hare or the grasshopper or something now. But I think that's the intent of how this design is supposed to be. Now this piece here, this is why I wanted to build these first, because I think there's going to be some movement leeway in this like opening here. And I think that's going to help us to pose the leg a little more. I think. Obviously, don't quote me on that yet because we haven't gotten there, but that's why I wanted to build the upper calf first, so we can see if that's the case. Okay, so I also think we might be able to build this without gluing the one piece, so we can try wiggling it if we need to. This like hinge kind of piston thing on the back of the leg. I think we're going to be able to build the leg without gluing that. Okay. Yeah, so this goes in there. Okay. So yeah, we can do that. So we just won't put any glue on that bit, and we'll be fine. All right. Okay. There we go. All right. So that piece we can still move, which is good. There we go. Because this goes like that. No, that goes like this. And that connects there. Okay, so there's really no movement there. You probably could if you wanted to chop and change. So what you would do is you clip the peg off the bottom of this, and then you can move this forward and back, and then you would just shorten this piston for it connecting at different points. So you probably could do that if you wanted to. If you wanted to do like a bent leg, like walking pose, it's probably doable. You're not going to get a hella amount of range out of it, though, to be honest. Like, you might be better doing a pose just with the hips and the ball joints here, right? You might be better just utilizing this to do your pose instead. You might get a better result. Oh! Okay. Do, do, do. Do, 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 do. All right. There we go. So, man, he's going to have kind of little legs. Not really, actually, considering most of this is like jump jets. They're actually not that small. Alright, let's build these way too complicated feet next. And see how all that works. So let's say... Yeah, just the base piece of this foot, not counting the ankle, is more pieces than the leg. So yeah, they James Cameroned the hell out of this thing, to be honest. Bonk. And then let's see. Oh, I guess the Alright, I take that back. There's actually extra caps on the legs, and that means that just that one piece is not as much piece as the legs. However, 2 of the steps for the feet is more than the pieces in the legs. It's got like big, like, kind of dig into the rock kind of toes. It's interesting. And those look posable. I wonder if we can do a thing where like the toes are clicked forward and he's like walking forward on one foot and then the other foot is flat. I wonder if we can accomplish that pose with it. Bet you a bunch of people are going to make really cool like jumping bases for this thing where it's like feet are up like a vulture. Oh fuck, that would be really cool. All right, we'll debate that. We will debate that in a little bit. So that wouldn't be that hard to do. You would just wire from the back into the base, and then you would cover the wire in like smoke or like energy, like from a hot glue gun. Shit. That would look really fucking cool. I huff at that. That is more work. But I enjoy the work, so I shouldn't complain. But definitely not how this model's intended to be built. But man, it would be cool. That would be super cool. Alright, let me think about that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to build the feet. We can go from there. Because then we'll have something kind of to play with and pose a little bit. I just won't build that. No, I think I will build the ankle either way. Yeah, because from the design, it doesn't really look like the ankle can rock in any meaningful way. I'll show you what I mean in a second in the instructions. Let me get this part in first. Okay. So this is the body, like the main meat of the foot, right? And then the ankle connects here on a hinge into a ball joint. And so what you'd be able to do is you'd be able to move the bottom part of the foot in like this, but that's about it. You wouldn't be able to like, I guess you could lift the ball joint up if you wanted, but I don't know. I don't think you're going to get a ton of interesting movement out of it. Oh, actually, yeah, you're not, because there's actually pistons that go between the two. All right, so ignore that completely. You're not going to be able to do anything with that. That it doesn't already do. You know what? I usually try to stream for like an hour, but honestly, even if I stop streaming, I'm still gonna keep building these because they're really cool. So I'm just gonna keep going, to be honest. So apologize if I sound like I'm running out of steam, because I probably am. But I mean, I'm gonna be building these anyway, so I might as well stream it so other people can see. You know, because I think the spider tank, for example, there was some interesting stuff in his build. You know, like making sure his base is big enough and that kind of stuff. And just kind of knowing how those legs work, so you could plan a pose, like if you wanted him like crawling over a wall or something, because you could do that with that model. So I think that's very useful. I think this guy's probably the same way. So I think it could do something like, right, like we put him on a little energy base, and then both his legs are up like that, like he's jumping. Otherwise, he's going to be standing like that or walking like that. So I think maybe doing the jumping base is a really cool idea. What would that require? Some wire. I didn't intend that to rhyme, but it did. Yeah, it would just pretty much require some wire. And then some stuffing after he gets painted. Um, hmm. All right, maybe we'll do that. Let's get further along and then we'll decide. You know what? I'm just going to clip all the pieces for the feet out, and we'll just work from it from there. None of these pieces are going to be confused for anything else. They're all kind of like one thing. Or I could do like, we're going to put one foot together and then go from there. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. So we have our body here. And we've got this thing with the pistons, and that just goes in like that. Okay. And this connects to the foot like that. And then these things go on the sides like that. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to put one of these on, and then we will do this. Oh, I have it on upside down. Duh. Because the ball joint has to go on top to connect to the ankle. Okay, that's explaining why it wasn't working. There we go. Okay, okay. It's pretty dope. And this is the connector for the toes. Heads, knees, elbows, toes. Or however that old kid song used to go. Okay. Little pistons. You're the one. You make jumping weird giant feet so much fun. Okay, and then we get our toes, and these do completely rotate up and down. So you can kind of put the toes however you want. So it's going to be like that, and then you're going to have the toe kind of go like that. Yeah. Toe can't really go too much higher. It can go lower, though. So having him like jumping with the feet out, you could have one kind of curled down and one kind of curled up. And it's going to kind of look like they're grabbing a little bit. So like this, right? It'll kind of look like they're grabbing a little bit. So if we put it all together, we have our guy here with his waist. He's going to have foots, and then that foots is going to be like that. So it kind of end up being like this. Honestly, I think that's pretty goddamn cool. Yeah, I think that's really neat. Let's do the jumping base thing. It'll be cool. So we want to do the hips, and we want to turn them a little bit. And there we go. And then we want to have this leg kind of be up, and the other leg in the back will be kind of down. So it's going to kind of be up like that. And this foot is going to kind of be like this. You know, honestly, we might not even have to actually have him be jumping. We could maybe have him be standing and like kicking, but I don't think that's as much fun as if he's jumping. So, yeah. Okay. So I guess let's do his toes on this foot. And then what we'll do is we'll start getting the wire base working on it then. Yeah. So he'll end up being like that, and then this one will be kind of the same kind of thing as well. Yeah, that's kind of how we'll have him posed. Yeah, that's cool. All right. So you know what? Because it's going to take me a little bit to dig the wire out, what we'll do is we'll hold off on that part. So we can actually get to the arms and stuff without this video being like 4 hours long. That's what I think we'll do. Because I do want to show off how the arms and all work too. So. So yeah, so we'll hold off on the other foot, but I do think you can get a really cool jumping pose out of this guy. Smells like my husband reheated some of last night's dinner. Okay, 27A, 27B. Okay, so that's these guys. Yeah, what we'll do is we'll build one arm as well, so you guys can see how it works. So let's see. The next step looks like it's 22 and 23, which are these two here. There is a lot of there's a lot of joints in these arms. And then 21, 24. Okay. Okay. So this whole area here is one arm. And that's just mirrored in the other one over here as the other arm. So that's nice. That's how the legs work too. That's a really good sprue design. Okay. Bonk. What you doing, pupper? I see you sneaking up on me. All right. So this is a twist joint there. At what's going to be the shoulder, which is going to be a ball joint, and then this is going to be a twist joint there at the top of the arm. And then this is going to also be a twist joint. Or actually, this is a hinge joint here. So, yeah, so, Okay, so these arms are all kinds of movable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this one kind of in a neutral middle spot, but you can get all the way to full 90 on each side. But I'm going to kind of put it in like a neutral middle spot, I think. Yeah. And then, oh man. This thing is freaking really cool. Just with the amount of like posing and customization and stuff that you can do on it, it's really neat. Now let's see, this gets an armor pin on the top there, like that. Okay, all right. Bonk, bonk, bonk. Nice and easy there. And then this guy is going to get an armor panel 2. Goes on the top, and then he has another hole. So you're going to have two dudes with holes, and then like a double male end that goes between them. So you're going to have the lower arm and the upper arm, and then this guy that's got two dongers, he goes between them like that. So you're going to wind up with ball joint, a twist, a hinge joint, and another twist. So, holy shit, there's a lot of options. This one, I'm actually going to make this one a tight 90 degrees because this is this arm. So I want this one to be like kind of tight like that. And then I think we'll tilt it a little bit out like that. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Wow, man, you can really do some cool posing with this kit. Yeah, that's really cool. All right, we won't glue that down yet. Let's see. So then we could build the rocket launchers or the machine guns. Um, Sorry, my brain is trying to make these make sense because there's more machine gun barrels than. Okay. All right, we'll come back to that in a second. Let's just build it as the instructions say, and we'll see what happens. Because there's like, this is also a machine gun barrel, and I'm like, how does that connect to this? But I don't know if it actually does. Maybe he has another set of machine guns somewhere that I'm just not seeing. So maybe we'll discover those together. Maybe the railgun, for example, has machine guns as well. Okay, and then the machine guns get these magazines. I don't think the bazookas look really cool. I think they look kind of lame. So we're not going to do the bazookas. I think I'm going to do the machine gun and we're going to do this Tesla gun thing. So it kind of looks like a railgun. I think that's pretty cool. All right, so we got our machine gun here. Some kind of like 50 cal. There we go. And then on the top, it gets one of these magazines. Oh, that's definitely much bigger than a 50 cal, whatever that is. That's like a 2 foot long shell. That is way bigger than a 50 cal. And this one gets one of those on the top too. Yeah. It's kind of cool though. It's got like a stripper clip essentially on the top there. So it'll be like boom, 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 ting. Yeah, it's pretty cool. This one doesn't have like hands though, so there wouldn't be any way for it to reload. Um. Oh. Okay, so that's like the big gun option. The other one is like 50 cal. Okay, so it actually has 4 different arm options. Okay. So you've got the smaller 50 cals, you've got the bigger cannons. Um, you've got the rocket launchers, or you have the like Tesla gun thing. Interesting. I might just have to give this all the DACA and give it a big gun and a 50 cal. Although it's got 230s, I think they get mounted on the nose cone as well. Alright, so then these are the 50s. So they get little magazines like that. Okay. See, that feels very World War II to me. The like double 50 cal like that. I really like that. So maybe we will end up doing like the two like autocannon options essentially. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. All right, let's build the Tesla gun though before we decide. I know I don't want the super bazookas. I don't care about those. They don't look cool. They look dumb as shit. This Tesla gun looks pretty cool though. So let's build this. Let's see, we get 15, 15, 12. There's 12, there's two 15s. Okay, and then he gets two 10s, which are these kind of like angled guys here. There we go. Okay. Now let's see. We put the Tesla nutsack together first. There we go. Okay. Except we put it together correctly instead of backwards. There we go. And then that plugs into the back of this gun. So that's like, no. Yes. Okay. Man, this starter set is really, really nice. I'm going to be super honest. I did not expect either of these mechs to be as nice to build as they are. Like, yeah, they're a little complicated. But in being a little complicated, you get like crazy cool options of how you want to pose them and what kind of gear you want them to have. Right? Like each one of these mechs has like there's 4 different turrets for the crab tank, spider tank, and then there's 4 different gun arms for this guy. Like that's really dope. Yeah. And what else does he get? He gets these. They go here. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Okay. All right. Then we can kind of play around with these. I think this actually gets underslung, this railgun, which I think means we might be able to have the machine guns on top and the railgun underneath. Looking at it. So here's the arm, and the railgun goes like that. And it gets like underslung under the arm like that. And then okay, okay. So you always have to have a railgun arm. You don't have a choice. That kind of sucks. And the reason you always have to have a railgun arm is because the connector piece for the other arm, you only get you only get two of them, not four. So you always have to have a railgun arm. Interesting. Because that connector piece, yeah, I guess it keeps these from sliding around. I mean, you could easily just glue those without the connector piece, though. I mean, you could. Alright, so let's make this arm the 250 cals. Because I think if there's anything that needs a connector piece, it's probably these. So, for example, if I wanted like double 50 cal here, I could actually put like this gun on the inside, and then he would have like double machine guns essentially, right? Like you could have like a big machine gun and a little machine gun. Now the rules probably don't support that, but that is modeling doable. You just want to get a connector for this outer gun. But I do like the rail gun, so I think we will keep that. And then we'll give him the double 50 cal. Bonk. And then it looks like you can have the arm be flat like this, or you could actually probably tilt it on the side. As that would look pretty cool. It being straight up and down, shooting like that, I think would look probably neater. So yeah, let's do that. With so many connection points and stuff on these, you can get a lot of personality out of just a little bit of tilting, right? Like here's a little bit of tilting just on that arm, and it gives it a lot of more sense of motion than just being straight on. Right, so we'll have that one kind of backwards like that, as he's like jumping at the enemy with his feet. Yeah, that's super cool. And the other arm, I'll decide if I want to keep as the Tesla cannon, or if maybe I'll just glue these directly onto it, because I think that would work too. But I do think the Tesla cannon is kind of cool. It just is very futury looking. But I mean, it's a giant fucking robot, so I guess it should be futury, huh? All right. So the only thing we didn't do was attach the nose gun. Interesting. Yeah, they only have one of the lights here. Right? Like their model's missing the light there. Huh. I guess let's put that nose gun on. So you can either have this little nose flamethrower here, or you can have the nose what looks like a pair of 30 cals. Honk. Yeah, that's pretty darn cool. And I think with like a jumping kind of jetpack kind of power energy thing, I think he'll look really neat. You know, you could probably even do the same with a lot of these guys and get rid of these stupid rocks that they're bouncing off of. All right, that might be a project for the future too. But yeah, that's a cool robot. I do think you should give the guy the bigger head from the jump troops. I think it looks better because all you're gonna see is through the canopy anyway. And then yeah, you can get all kinds of crazy poses with that. So this leg will probably be like this, and he'll probably be in the air like that. Or I mean, fuck, maybe I'll just have him standing on the ground kicking. Nah, it's cooler if both the legs are in the air. Anyway, yeah, really cool kit. Really, really cool. Um, and then the star of earlier on, we have Mr. Spider Tank with his 3 different turrets. Got that one, or we got the flamethrower turret. I like the flamethrower turret a lot. I think that looks really cool. Or we've got the anti-air turret. I do like the guy popping out the top, though. I think that's neat. I think what I don't like about these is the muzzle breaks at the end, so I think I might actually clip those off. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Because I like the guy popping out the top a lot. I think he looks really neat with his gas mask and all. But yeah, really, really cool kits. Really fun stuff from the starter set. But yeah. As I break the machine gun on the front of this thing. All right. But I'm going to go ahead and call it there. Thank you guys for watching. Maybe we'll do a painting stream on these. Maybe I'll just paint them and we'll have ourselves a little battle. But I'm going to call it there because I am hungry now after spawning that I need food. So, hope you have a good one